Welcome to the Pulse Experience, the podcast that takes you on a journey of wellness at the intersection of technology and human experience. I'm your host, Edward Beltran, the CEO of Fierce and innovator of Pulse. Stress is a very large problem. 300 billion is lost annually to organizations, not to mention the huge impact it has on our employees and our people. And often we don't know what's causing our stress. And if we do, we don't know how to handle it. Instead, we accept stress and we go about managing it in the way that we've been taught and doing for the longest time. Better diet, better sleep, exercise, and meditation. And this doesn't get underneath the root cause of the issues. And today, there's so much that's required of us in the home and in the workplace that we don't always have the self-awareness, tools, or even time to handle it properly. However, your body doesn't lie. Your body's constantly responding to your environment and letting you know when something's wrong. When we choose to listen to it, identify and tackle these challenges, it drives the positive results both in our personal and professional lives. Pulse is our proprietary app that integrates with all wearable devices. And utilizing cutting-edge science, we're able to help you see who you're with and what you were doing when you're driving your highest stress events. And this is by the hour. We then pull in calendar data and GPS to be able to give context around that stress event, to be able to continue to drive that self-awareness and get underneath what's happening in your life. We want to move you then into action with either a live coach or our in-app AI bot to be able to tackle those stressors, drive resilience, and help you achieve the outcomes you desire. Our certified coaches walk into every 90-minute coaching session with the same visibility into your biometrics and insights to help you identify the themes that are impacting you the most, move you from the safe zone and into the area that's going to have the most impact on your lives and drive what you want to achieve in your life. This is the Pulse Experience. Today, we have the opportunity to go deep with Chantell Brandt, our certified Pulse coach, who's going to share with us why she's so passionate about coaching and how the Pulse Experience has innovated biometric-led coaching and development. So Chantell, welcome. Let's jump this off. How long have you been a coach and what drove you to be a coach?
Sure. I've been a coach for about 9 years in the official capacity. What drove me to be a coach? Well, I would love to say that I always knew and, sought out this path, but really coaching found me. I was managing financial centers and feeling burned out and really thought that I had stopped liking people, to be quite frank with you. Um, so I decided to go back to school for psychology so that I could understand the people, understand what is happening, what are these dynamics. And then once I completed my associates, I went back for my undergrad in HR management because now I really wanted to learn how to manage. And by that time I was all in and finished that up and went into my master's in adult education, which really helped me to inspire and lead. You know, it was at this juncture, though, that I realized I want to coach others. Seeing that light bulb go off and helping leaders, to think with intention and tenaciously plan and then boldly execute on their goals has been a dream come true. I really get to live my purpose.
Wow, that's amazing. I loved your opening line around how coaching found you. That's so powerful, right? When you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, like, what has found me? And like, the only thing that came to mind is my project manager. She's always hunting me down, right? But with all serious, so that's amazing, Chantel. And I can just tell from the passion of the episodes, right? You know what I'm talking about too, right? Geeta,
Yeah,
she'll find me every time.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. I do.
Exactly. So sorry about that. Just a little joke there. So, what do you find the most satisfying, or what wakes you up and pumps you up about being a coach? What's most rewarding?
Growing up, I used to get in trouble from teachers because I asked so many questions. So here's the first hint that coaching found me, right? Um, and then my senior year, I had a teacher that made it okay. He gave me the pass to explore And he taught me that questions are powerful and they can open up a world of possibilities and a lifetime of learning. And, you know, when you can ask a question, the right question, and see the light bulbs of insight go off, it is such a thrill. I get to help people to really ask and answer the questions that they've been seeking and for so long. It's the greatest joy in the world, Ed. Beyond
Yeah.
having my child, I will say that. Beyond having my child is really just the greatest joy in the world. So many people just don't even know what their potential is.
Hmm.
And so helping them to see that and then realize they can even go beyond what they initially, that bar that they initially set for themselves, man, that gets me up in the morning.
Yeah, that is so awesome. And asking questions, it sounds like such an easy thing to do. But as we find in our teaching Chantal, as you find as a coach, once you unlock that, it's just absolutely amazing what you find on the other end. So not just from your coachee, right? They have
Mhm.
the answer and you're asking questions and this amazing to have them think through and articulate it because it's been there the whole time, right?
Yeah, it's just
Exactly.
unlocking the layers. It's literally the mineral rights. It's removing all of the barriers so that they can see more clearly.
Absolutely. And that's and on that topic of asking questions, that's what I love so much about what we learn and teach at Fierce is that you can get curious and it's totally okay. And you do it with the intent of
Mhm.
having a clear context and going in with an open mind and just asking the questions. How am I supposed to be taking this? And like it's so amazing what you find on the other end. So thank you for that, Chantel. So, what have you found in your journey to be the toughest challenge as a coach? We talked about all the positives, but what's the most challenging aspects of it?
Ooh, the biggest challenges probably I would say to traditional coaching is both self-awareness and time.
Mm,
We often spend like countless hours working through symptoms because we're just not as self-aware as we think we are. As just as a society, we ignore all of the signs our bodies are telling us, and whether it be especially when it comes to a state of stress, right?
mm,
We think that we can change the environment to remove the irritant, ignore the emotion, and everything's just going to magically get better. That's exactly why I jumped at the chance to use Pulse, because I was experiencing challenges with my coaching and getting people to this point, this true
mm,
self-awareness, and being respectful of the time that it takes. And so with Pulse, adding it into my coaching practice has been amazing. It brings the unknown into the light,
mhm.
giving both myself and my coachee insights into exactly where the stress is happening and what patterns we're seeing, so that we can dive in quicker and with full authenticity. Because sometimes, we also lie to ourselves and we lie to others about, truly the impact of whatever it is what we're tackling is having on us. And so now we can see it.
Wow, Chantel, what you said absolutely resonates. I mean, the research shows that 95% of people think they're self aware, but 10 to 15% really are. I mean, you look at that statistic and you're kind of like, well, am I in that 10 to 15 or am I on the other side? I don't know, right? But to your point, it's
Yeah.
getting insights into your biometrics, right? It's such a buzzword, but your body doesn't lie. It's constantly responding to your environment and telling you things if you're willing to listen. Like, for example, us talking right now, I'm fully elated. But in other situations, I might be stressed, and it's understanding why. Why are you stressed in that, right? Your body doesn't lie. So that's so
Mhm.
impactful, Chantal. And thank you for sharing. As we move into content, there's so much content that can impact people. And as you know, with Pulse, we have Fierce embedded. You've been a Fierce facilitator. You've been with us for a while. How long have you been with us? And tell us a little bit about what you find the most captivating in our content? What made you such a believer?
Wow, it feels like forever. And just like yesterday, right? So I became a fierce facilitator in 2016 and a master facilitator in 2018. When I was building out a leadership program for the organization I previously worked for, I wanted to ensure that we had incorporated a conflict management. That's what we were looking for. It was definitely something that we had seen on our own surveys that we needed. When I found Fierce, I had this epiphany. Like if we focus on the objectives of a fierce conversation, interrogating reality, provoke learning, tackle the tough challenges, enrich relationships, we'll have less conflict. And when we do have conflict, we'll have the right foundations to address the issues at hand. And I was all in. Like every piece of content from Fierce helps us to answer fundamental questions around leadership and honestly around how we show up as people. What's the most important thing I could be doing as a coach? To what's the most important thing I could be doing to build my team, to be accountable, to delegate, to give and receive feedback? It is all there, and I'm ready to take Fierce to to NATO and to and
Yeah.
to Congress. You know this, Ed, right? It holds us accountable to having a different conversation than we've ever had before. That's it.
Mhm. No, absolutely. And I love that. So after fierce resilience, it's going to be fierce delegation or fierce politics by Chantell Brandt. So I'm with you
No,
100%. And it's
no.
really interesting that your topic was conflict management because in my experience and what we see, the word conflict or confront is often misunderstood. Let's just be real. We're people and misunderstandings and gaps happen all the time, right? Us assuming that we're clear, us assuming that's when our what's in our head, other people realize it's just not the facts, right? And so when I started looking at fierce content to what you're saying, Chantal, I'm kind of like, okay, you know what? Let's not make the wrong assumptions. Chantal, you said something offensive to me. You should have known better. No, 95% of people think they're self-aware, but 10 to 15% really are. We just said that. So I'm going to give you the gift of feedback, right? And say, what you said to me, Chantel, I didn't really understand. Let's explore this a little bit more. So again, the key word being conversation, meaning kind of with, versus what we see right now in society at large, Chantel, is it's very binary, right? It's I was wronged or I have the right answer and you don't or you wrong me. But life's really just not that simple. And that's why I love fear so much because the
No.
reality is that it does help bridge, these gaps that are just the reality and part of the human condition.
We're seeing society have one-sided versations
That's right.
all
That's
over the place.
right.
Yes. And then we wonder why we are so unhappy and why we can't get anything done. It's because we're not inviting any other perspective than our own
Hmm.
to the table. And, this is what Fierce does. I have several different coaching models. I rely on Fierce so heavily because of that, because it is about bringing someone into the conversation with you and taking them along on that journey to really enrich the relationship.
Hmm. Absolutely. And
And it
so with
hasn't
that,
failed me.
yeah, no, exactly. And so with that, Chantal, what's one of your favorite quotes within Fierce? Like, what's the most impactful? Which one you always quote all the time?
Oh my goodness, this one's hard because I value so many of them. But if I had to choose, it would be while no single conversation is guaranteed to change the trajectory of a career, a company, a relationship, or a life, any single conversation can. You know, this one speaks to me in all the major transitions in my own life. The conversation I had with my mom when she was dying and asked me, what did I want out of life? The conversation I had with my dad, who's not my biological dad, during our drive to my mom's memorial, when I told him that I felt like I was grieving him as well because he no longer had what I thought in my mind an obligation, and him looking at me and saying, from the moment I laid eyes on you, you were mine. I chose you. 30 years of misunderstanding and weight was lifted with that one conversation. To just most recently, and having a conversation with my former manager that propelled me to this moment, to coaching full time. Any single conversation can.
Mhm.
Is so powerful.
Absolutely, very powerful. And the precursor to that is You have to have the conversation to drive the results you want in your life. That's
That's
the
right.
requirement, right? Any conversation can. I love that, Chantel.
Mm,
Let's flip back to coaching and technology, if you don't mind. You spoke about self awareness, and I
sure.
probably quoted my favorite quote two or three times. How important is this in coaching?
It's fundamental. It is fundamental to the development, and it just plays such a crucial role. With self-awareness, coachees develop a profound understanding of self and their emotions and their behaviors. How are they showing up? And the presence of self-awareness empowers those being coached to make well informed decisions and really to embark on a transformational journey.
Absolutely. It's so powerful, and all our research shows that with our chief behavioral science officer, Gabe. It's so critical, as well as being able to measure it, right? Tell us a little bit more about how Pulse as a technology has made an impact on your coaching.
Mhm. Sure. And it also speaks to again, that self awareness, Ed, right? Like,
Mm,
if we are not self aware, how do we know where we need to go and where we truly want to go? Right. And so when we add pulse to this equation, it's made a huge impact in my coaching. The ability to make and use biometrics to go below surface and tackle the tough challenges is with true accountability is profound. Dashboards give us clear insight into what the user's going through. If they experience stress, bottom line, if they experienced it, the app is recording it. There's no getting around it. Right. So this self awareness is displayed in easy to read metrics for the user, and it even shows like weekly trends so that we can see that path, right? And we can start to really recognize that resiliency and patterns that are taking place.
mm,
As we discussed earlier, the speed in which we get to the root cause is a game changer. And this has an impact on goals, it has an impact on relationships, and everyone's overall wellness. One of the things in the app that has been a huge value for me, and maybe not one that we have spent as much time on, but is the modules, right? It's a tangible resource that I can use to help guide my coachees having key conversations vital to their success. It brings such joy in hearing my clients explain the benefits of this to others. I have witnessed, without prompting, coachees tell someone else how the Pulse app works. And they're
mm,
pulling out their phones and they're proudly showing their dashboard. They're talking about the modules and the coaching experience and what they got out of it and what are those results. It is so powerful to, to see people finally have a tool that goes with them every single day that they can use to handle the stressors that they encounter throughout their day.
Absolutely. Two things, Chantel, that you said that were so powerful. One is we've talked a lot about this, and I've heard a lot about of this from coaches and psychologists in the space. You can't hide from biometrics, and so from a coach, what you and I talked about is you're constantly struggling between people automatically going to a safe place, being able to place blame or here's my root issue to the biometrics, which say and show, exactly what's happening. So that's so extremely powerful. And the second thing that you said that I think is really interesting and awesome is, as a coach, you always want to know your effectiveness, and you're able to see very clearly from the metrics the impact. And as we've talked about in many sessions, you see it pretty quickly with Pulse, right?
Absolutely. It's tackling that particular stressor. And I would love to say that we have figured out a way to alleviate stress altogether, like the bad stress altogether. That's not the case. What we do know is that we're seeing it, and then we have the tools to alleviate quicker,
Hmm.
right? Like, it'd be nice if it was just gone. Bar that, we got to give people the tools in which they can manage it effectively so that they can build their resilience. Life is going to have modulations. right? It's how you ride those modulations that matter.
Without a doubt. And that's where growth is born from too as well, right, Chantel? It's all about growth.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so why is innovation in coaching so necessary? And what do you see Pulse helping to support and other methodologies that you could bring in and content? Tell us a little bit about how you see that vision in your practice going forward.
The landscape in which we operate has drastically changed in the last few years, and I think it will continue to change. As coaches, we can reach a broader audience, and we have tools such online coaching platforms and mobile applications and virtual communication. This also means, though, we have a responsibility to stay up to date with the latest trends. Like, we have to stay on top of what our clients and our coachees are using in order to make sure that we are bringing in the right technology and methodologies to effectively address the constant changes that they are facing. When coaches adopt these, we get to offer fresh perspectives. We, utilize tools such as Pulse to challenge conventional thinking and to motivate our clients to step out of the comfort zone. And we'll keep repeating this, right? They no longer get to hide. They can't no longer get to ignore the physiological signs that are taking place in their body. Like, we have tuned out our body is the ultimate pulse, and we have tried to tune this out. And so now, Pulse is bringing it back, and it's showing it in a way that is undeniable. That puts us in demand. Coaches are in demand. We know this. Stress is at all-time highs. This also means that if we embrace innovation, we get to distinguish ourselves because we're offering unique and value to our clients to stay ahead of the curve. The biometrics and the easy to read dashboard or Pulse are an asset to any coaching methodology. It doesn't matter how you coach. This gives you insight that you never had before.
No, thank you so much, Chantel. And thank you so much for allowing us to explore your background and your passion of being a coach. And also, too, Chantel, my hat off to you as well for being an early adopter of Pulse and helping us really form what this has become. As you know, the results speak for themselves, but more importantly, the testimonials we hear from your coachees, it's always the same or similar in regards to quality, impact. I mean, people are walking away out of these sessions that you're doing, Chantel, with such positive remarks. And what I love the most is that sometimes it's the most senior leaders, the ones who say, I know everything I need to know about stress. I've been doing this a long time. I know what I need to do, that come out and they say, can I get more coaching sessions with Chantel? It's always the same, right?
Yeah.
And they're the ones who walk away with some of the most impactful insights. So Chantell, as always, you're awesome. Can't thank you enough for your time and your commitment to, what we're doing here and changing lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You and Gabe really hit the ball out of the park with this one, and it's changing the landscape of coaching. And I'm excited to be on the journey.
Thank you. No, so thank you so much, Chantell.